cup at a time. Tea time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. Yeah. Tea time.
Well, welcome. It is tea time, and that's right, Miss Liz is back, and we are here to have an exciting evening tea time with an incredible lady who has become a friend of mine. That's right, you never know what happens within the weeks of planning all these tea times. What can actually happen? You build a friendship along the way. That's right, Miss Liz builds friendships even with her connections, her guests. So I'm going to bring up the incredible guest, Nelia Hutt, and I'm going to just read a little bit of her intro, of her bio, and if you'd like to see her full bio, you can check it out on Miss Liz's Facebook page. But we're going to do a little disclaimer just in case there's somebody out there that might need this disclaimer. We're going to do a disclaimer, but I'm going to bring up Nelia Hutt so she can hear the disclaimer and the little intro of her bio. I'm sure she knows it all. And if I skip anything, then she can let you guys know. So Nelia, welcome to Tea Time.
Welcome. Great to be here.
So we're going to just do the disclaimer, and then I'm going to do a little intro of your bio, and then we're going to sit back and we're going to have a good old cup of tea. Why we're a few seconds late tonight is because we were sitting in the back just chilling, and we're like, oh, Showtime is yelling at me, Showtime. I'm like, okay, let's get going. So, disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Times live show. Miss Liz, myself, is going live using StreamYard.com. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith, however, may bring forward dialogue and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participation are responsible for using their good judgment in taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussion for some where it may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to note that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any discussions about this disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. And moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in tonight's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that this show is not made for you, I will see you at a future show at a later date. So there we go. We got the disclaimer all done. Let's throw that to the side. Now we're going to introduce Nelia. And we have a true story here of how friendships build over the internet. And it is truly amazing how we met. But I'm going to give you a little bit on Nelia. So Nelia, where are you, girl? Nelia Hutt is an author, podcast host, philanthropist, and she is known as the girl who started the Ukulele Project and the founder of Travel, Live, Give as the host of Giving Starts With You podcast. She is dedicated to helping listeners discover their inner strengths, resulting in living more peacefully, purposely, and authentically. Life is too short not to. And yes, Miss Liz is reading from her phone because my eyes are a little glitchy tonight. So that's why you see me doing this and doing that. So, Nelia, now let's get to you. And how did we meet? If you'd like to let the viewers and listeners know.
Yeah, so there's an app. I was told to use this app. It's called Alignable. And one of my first two guests, two people that I'm like, oh my God, I was looking at what you were doing and I was like, I need to align with this lady. I need to check out Miss Liz and see what she's doing. And it was so funny. And then we had a different connection with another person. And it was funny because we were trying to meet up and I had to cancel with one to meet with the other, and they actually knew each other. It was pretty funny. I mean, I gotta say. But I love meeting new people. Love it.
It really is a small world, eh, Nelia?
It was great. And we're both Canadians. And
right?
We have stuff in common and it's great. It's great. I've been learning from Liz. And Miss Liz was on my podcast, so you guys need to check it out. You need to check
Absolutely.
it
It
out.
was an experience. It was a good cup of tea that night. We spoke for hours. And that's what happened with us in the back room was we were just chilling and we're like, oh, okay. And then it's like showtime, showtime. I'm like, okay, let's get going here.
Well, it's funny when you're passionate about something, you could talk for so long and it's so easy, you know? Outside of talking with wonderful people like you, I'm usually introverted, but when I talk, you know, we get into the mental health stuff and we get into the stuff that's important, we could go like we went 3 hours after we recorded last time. It was crazy.
Yeah. We were like, okay, we got to get dinner made here. Our families need food.
It's like 10 o'clock. But thank you for having me on. I love your show so much. It's really helping a lot of people.
Well, thank you so much. So, Nelia, would you like to share about all of the incredible things that you're doing? Because you are doing incredible. And the title that I gave Nelia's Tea Time was Changing Lives, because this woman is changing lives. So, let's get into the Ukulele Project first.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, when we have pain, we always hope that something good is going to come of that. And through my pain, the Ukulele Project was born. And the Ukulele Project is a project that we founded in Guatemala just before the pandemic hit, so February, March of 2020. And we were bringing music to children, underprivileged children in Guatemala. And I wanted to help somehow, but I didn't really know how I was going to help. So I knew that I couldn't bring, you know, millions of dollars and end world hunger. I knew that I couldn't help with um, their physical ailments and their medical needs, but I know I could help with music. So music was one of those things for me that helped me through all my mental illness and still does. I found it so healing. You know, it was like one of two things that really helped me and gave me a place to feel, let my emotions out, and it was fantastic. So what I do right now is I'm teaching other people how to do their own projects. So it's fantastic. I'm meeting incredible people, and yeah, I just I know through my experience that the number one way to feel better about who you are, to manage your anxiety, your depression, PTSD, everything that all the labels people put on you is helping other people. Honestly, that is what helps me get up in the morning. And not because I'm any better than anybody else, nothing to do with that. I've really found, I think, the secret to helping ourselves and helping other people. So I love it. I love it. And I love what I'm doing. And I'm so happy. I'm meeting incredible people. I'm helping other people create their own projects that they're passionate about. And it's helping them personally and it's helping to change the world. So I'm excited.
It is truly exciting. And when I first heard that she was doing the ukulele project, I was like, I always wanted to play one.
It's funny because we play different instruments here in my house. So my son, my husband, and I. And my father is a big part of that story. And my father was a professional musician as well as a carpenter, but I always thought of him as an artist. And so music runs in our family, right? But I didn't know how to play the ukulele. It was so funny. So I'm going to a country that I don't know their language. Like I speak Portuguese, not Spanish. And it is quite different. People think it's the same, but it's not. And I didn't know the ukulele. So I'm like, okay, we need to get on Duolingo, and we need to learn Spanish. So we spent like 6 months learning some Spanish and learning the ukulele. And we ended up writing a song on the ukulele in Spanish for the kids there. It was fantastic. It was called Hola Guatemala, and they loved it. So yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So fun. And now I'm still not great at the ukulele, but I know enough to, make the kids happy. And it was what an experience.
I was just about to ask you that. I was like, Nelia, do you play the ukulele?
Oh, it changed my life. Um, Interacting with those kids and just having them forget their circumstance at the moment and just having them smile and not have a heavy burden and just to let go and help their mental health really, right? And just sing and just let them be kids. And it was so great. So great.
Well, and I believe that you have these videos when you went to the school, right? On your
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, on the Giving Starts With You YouTube channel. So I host the channel there. And in addition to putting all my videos from the podcasts, that podcast guests that I have on my show, I've also created some other videos, and one of them is a video for the Ukulele Project. So you can go on there and you can check it out. It's just a short 2-minute video, nothing professional. My son put it together, and it just gives you like an idea. And we're always willing to take people with us. So we want to go again March of next year. We haven't gone sooner because of the pandemic, and unfortunately, it's usually these poor countries that don't get the vaccines, so they're still trying to get vaccines. So that's another reason why I haven't been down yet. But I still keep in touch with them every week, and we're actually working on some other projects, and it's amazing. And I have to say, fundamaya.org is the organization that I worked with, and they're incredible. I've interviewed them as well. I mean, I could go on forever about them, but what they do there tirelessly and all the programs that they have. So if you guys are interested, in donating or anything like that, you could just look them up. It's fundamaya.org, or if you're in Canada, it's the Friends of Fundamaya Canada, and they're just amazing.
I'll get you to give me that when we're done, and I'll put that
Yeah,
up on the.
they're incredible, the work that they're doing, and I've seen it firsthand, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, if I donate $50, within 2 hours they send me a picture and say, "Here's the food we just delivered." Like, and
Wow.
I know because I've seen them in action. So it's hard sometimes because sometimes you donate to these big companies and then a lot of the money doesn't go directly to where you want to go. So it's kind of hard. It's put a bad name sometimes on donations, but this is a small company that's doing great work. But anyway,
Well,
ukulele.
that's nice to see too. Like, and I'm glad that you brought that up, Nelia, because it is hard when it's the countries that have the poverty and stuff like that, right? They get judged right away that, oh, it's not going to go there, it's going to go somewhere else. So you actually see the
Oh yeah,
outcome, you know. So
100%. And
it's
I know the
actually
girl
nice.
who owns it. I know the owner, and I can like, yeah, within hours the money is like has been purchased, and whether it's emergency or medical funds or food or yeah, they do a lot with education. So they were the ones that were able to hook me up with these different schools, and man, you forget the troubles in your life. You forget so many things when you're put in a different environment,
Yeah,
and people are so grateful for what they have, which is maybe a fraction of what you have. It changes you. It's
it
just,
does.
and my heart's never been more open, and that's why I want more and more people to do that. And that's why I'm teaching, what kind of gifts do you have? Because a lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm not good at anything." We were all told that we're not good enough. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do this. And so that's what I help them. I help them figure it out because everybody has gifts,
Yep.
no matter what you're told. And, what is it that you care about? Let's figure it out. Let's help you create something that you're passionate about. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You have to figure it out, right?
Well, and that's what I do, right? Is I don't tell you guys what your tea is. You tell me what your tea is, and we'll get into Nelia's tea a little later. But that's exactly what tea time is all about, right? Is I don't tell you what your tea is. You tell me,
Hmm.
and that's what you do with your work too. Is you don't tell people what they are. You say
Hmm.
find it out, figure it out, and let's grow together. Let me help you with the resources. Let me help you with the connections, because that's how we truly do make a difference and impact lives is by doing what we do. And I truly understand when you say it is happiness and joy when you see a child getting something or just a smile, the joy that comes into your heart, the abundance is priceless. Like that is like winning the lottery when you see the difference
Oh,
that you actually make.
it's incredible. It just opens up your heart more than you ever realized that you could do. And from that experience, like some people might think, oh, it's just music, but from that experience, so many things have happened, so many beautiful experiences. And so, one family we were able to help started a business during COVID in Guatemala. So it was like, wow, a small thing for us is a huge thing for them.
Yep.
Helping them learn English can change their generation and generations to come. And it's just so many beautiful things and ways that people can help. But it all came from a place, it all started, this idea all started from a place of pain for me. So, um, if it's okay with you, I was just going to talk a little bit about my story.
Oh,
And
no, no. This is your tea time. This is your time, girl. You shine away. I'm just going to sit back and have my tea. I got a good hot tea here, so I'm good. You go ahead.
so, yeah, my father passed away 17 years ago, and he was 59, and he had a rare form of cancer. And at that time too, I had been trying to conceive for about 10 years and wasn't successful. And then when my father got sick, I became pregnant as well. Um, and so I was kind of like, now, after all this time, now, you know, wow, like I was kind of like upset, but grateful at the same time. And I was looking after him, and I felt this heaviness because I knew that he would never meet my child. And he was only 59, and it took my breath away, and just watching him deteriorate. When my father passed away about 4 or 5 months later, um, I took on the role of taking care of my family, so my mom, my brother, and I kind of put my needs aside because I was trying to hide the fact that I was hurting. I thought, maybe if I don't think about it, it won't be real. Maybe if I don't think about it, I'm protecting myself. um 9 months later, I had my son, and waiting for him for so long, for 10 years, I had postpartum depression, and I was like, this isn't what motherhood's supposed to be. I just lost my dad. I feel alone. I feel, even though I was surrounded by beautiful friends and family, I just felt alone.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not what I thought my experience was going to be. And, for 12 years, I didn't feel anything. So for 12 years, I hid the way that I felt. I became diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety. I had major depressive disorder. I hid everything. I wore masks every day. And it wasn't until my son said, Mom, let's go feed the homeless people. And I'm like, yeah, go to bed. It's 10 o'clock at night. You're like 6 years old. I know
You just want to stay up.
he's a good negotiator. I'm like, he never wanted to sleep. So I'm like, come on, it's like December in Canada. What are you talking about? And he's like, no. He's like, do homeless people get to go to birthday parties? And I said, no, honey, I think sadly they probably don't get invited, too many of them. And they're like, well, tomorrow we're going to go buy some gifts for them. I'm like, okay, let's go to bed. So we went to bed. And people who know me know, like, I work a lot, like 80 hours a week. So my Saturday, I don't get up till like 10 or 11. That's my sleeping time.
I sleep in.
Everybody knows I need that time. So 6 a.m. in the morning, he's like, Mommy, are we ready to go? And I'm like, where are we going? He's like, let's go to Walmart. Let's go buy stuff for the homeless. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Like, he woke up, he remembered, right? Rolled over and said, okay, we're going to the store. He's like, where are you going? It's 6 in the morning. I'm like, we're going to Walmart, apparently. So on the way to Walmart, my son's like, okay, I can't write, but can you make a list? This is what we should get. And I was like, okay. And I hadn't gotten paid yet that week, and I didn't have a lot of money. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to make this work. Like, my son really wants to do this. And 2 hours later, we were feeding the homeless. So
Wow.
we fed 25 people. All we did was a basic sandwich, a fruit, a vegetable, some cookies. He wanted lollipops in there because he loves lollipops. And he sat and he made some cards, handmade cards, and he threw them in, like really, really quick 6-year-old cards. Threw them in, and we're like, okay, now what? We got to find homeless people, right? Like, it was all like,
We're on a mission here.
But children don't see obstacles.
No, they don't.
This is what we're doing. We're just going to figure it out. And as adults, we make excuses, or we think things are too hard, or we don't know how to do something, so we don't do it, right? He taught me so much this day. So we borrowed a wagon from a next door neighbor. We loaded up the 20, put a snowsuit on, went downtown in our city, and we found a lot more than 25 people. And a lot of them were sitting in a bus waiting to go to the Salvation Army. And we're like, can we just come in? And, we got some coffee for everybody. And he looked around, and I remember him seeing children his age. And he was like, wow. And at first he said, Mom, I'm a little bit scared because maybe they look a little bit dirty, or they look a little bit like, they look different. And at the end of the experience, I said, "So what did you think?" He's like, "They're just like us." He's like, "It doesn't matter. They just need a shower, but they're just like us." And I didn't realize that the homeless people were not all men that were, dirty and scary looking. There's children in there.
Yeah.
He learned so much that day. And he's like, "You know what? We're doing this again next year." And I looked at him and I was like, "Bless your heart." And he was 6 at the time. He's 15. We still run. It's called Evan's Homeless Loop Eggs. Evelyn's Homeless Loop Egg Project. And we've done a video on that too. And that's in the Giving Starts With You YouTube channel. And we just do it by donations. And now we do, every year, we serve 50 lunches, but we also do tents, clothes, socks, mitts, Kleenex, toothbrush, toothpaste, hair. Like, it's become this big thing. And the best part is these 30 little bodies that come over to my house and pack everything and make all the lunches. And I just sit back and I watch these children, and it fills me up. And I just want people to know it doesn't take a lot. I didn't have money that day. It's not, and some of the stories, like some of these homeless friends of ours now, they'll say, "Thank you, but thank you for not walking around us. Thank you for walking toward us, stopping and talking to us, learning about."
Acknowledging them.
Yeah, like I ended up taking one for like 6 months. We'd go to free bingo just to get out of the cold. And he was such a great guy. It's a military gentleman who ended up becoming homeless. And another one who came and said, "We want to teach my son how to fish," and just to get to know people as human beings. So my
Exactly.
son is the one who taught me that. So I went from cuddled in a corner, wanting to die and feeling so alone, to, okay, kind of reluctantly going and doing this project. And now it's what we do. Like, it just it healed me, that and music, because when I was upset, I would listen to like hard rock and just let it out. And when I was celebrating, I would listen to beautiful music. And you don't even have to listen to music in your own language. Sometimes it's just the chanting, or it could be just the sound. Music is international. It can be any language and you can still feel,
Yep.
right? So one thing that I always hid growing up was my heart, because people would say, "Oh, Nelia, you're so emotional. Like, get it together." But as an adult now, I think it's the best part of me, and I try to embrace it. And that's hard to say, because you're not supposed to say good things about yourself, right, Liz?
Yep.
It's you're
It's
not
not as easy as
you're not taught to do that.
it's a lot of work, guys. I'm telling you, it's hard work.
It's hard. And I grew up learning, like my parents were givers, 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 and always help people. And I was taught, you give to others, you give to, which is great, but you
Yep.
can't do it at the expense of you.
Exactly.
So that's why I started my podcast, and why it's called Giving Starts With You, because through my experience, and I can't speak to anybody else about theirs, but through my experience, I wasn't looking after myself, and I couldn't do anything for my son. I couldn't help for the son that I had been waiting for so long. And I couldn't really be there for my husband. And once I started to take care of myself and say, "Hey, don't believe everything that people tell you. Don't believe the labels. Don't believe that you're not good enough." It took a lot of work to get there. But as soon as I started taking care of myself, then I could take care of my community, do my projects. It wasn't until then I never felt I had anything to offer people. And so that's why it's so important to me to let people know, even if you think, you don't have good self-esteem, you don't have good self-confidence, and you feel like you're crazy. People tell you, "Oh, you have mental illness, you're crazy." Let them say what they want. Deep down, it's not true.
Yep.
you know and I really challenge people to do that too, stand on their own 2 feet. It's so hard, but like, that's why, and the giving was what did it for me. And that's why I know, like, I'm on Prozac, I'm on medication. I still get anxious moments, but I manage them. And my life is so different now than it used to be. It's not debilitating, the panic attacks and suicide and all of these things. And I really think when we take the pressure off of ourselves and we give to other people, There is nothing better. Um, that to me is a number one cure. Like I've had therapy, I've had grief therapy, I'm on medication. Nothing helped me like helping others. And that's what my whole business is about and why I'm here and just trying to support everybody.
Like I kind of like that you say that, Nelia, because people don't understand that sometimes we don't need a pill in order to fix us, right? Sometimes it's just a connection of another human being, just that human one-on-one connection, and we long for that. That is part of humanity, is that we long to connect with people. You
Mhm.
know, when we don't connect, then we feel unbalanced, and and second guessing ourselves. The self doubt comes in, and then when we connect with someone, we're like, oh my goodness, this gives me the courage to go
Yes.
further.
Yeah, like I don't know about you, Liz, but whenever I feel lonely, I feel like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why am I unlovable? Why are people? But it's nothing to do with that. These are things
No.
we tell ourselves, right? But it's not the truth. And people can tell you that, and people can tell you that, and you won't believe it.
Yeah.
You have to try to believe in it yourself. And there's so many ways that we can do that. But I just, yeah, loneliness is one of the worst things because I feel like you can't, there's no hope, right?
Yeah.
That's with the Ukulele Project. I wanted to give hope. If anything, I wanted the kids to know that there is more to life than this, than suffering. And, you can be happy, you can
Yeah.
be free, you can sing, you can dance. You can dream. And, when kids there are going to work for 6 hours a day and then going to school for 6 hours a day, um, and they're 7 years old, they don't have time to dream. It's not something they're taught. What do you
Yeah.
mean? We don't have time to dream. Our life is about survival. And I think that's sad because everybody deserves to dream. And that's why you asked me what my word was before, and it was dreamer. And sometimes people say, oh, you're a dreamer. And that's a negative thing. People think of it as a negative label.
Yeah, because you did give me dreamer and you gave me giving. And then I was like, you know what? She does a lot of giving. But now that you're sharing this, you know what? It is dreamer, because and it is what you're doing. You're giving dreams to
Mm.
people who don't dream or feel that they can't dream, because so many people are told, don't dream, don't dream. Like, that's never going
And
to
it's
happen.
like, yeah, and it's like a negative thing. It's like a
Yeah.
dreamer is associated with somebody who's always in the clouds, who's always, thinking of, oh, I'm going to be rich one day. I'm going to, drive this, or I'm going to do that. To me, that's not a dreamer. To me, if I don't have my dreams, I'm miserable. I have to
Exactly.
have something to look forward to. I have to have a cause that I believe in, and it helps me get up in the morning. To me, dreams are attainable. They're not some fluffy thing that people like, oh, one day I dream of being a fairy. No, it's not like that.
Well, I don't know. I want to be a fairy. I'd like to have a magic tea wand, and just kind of just bibbity bop, bibbity bop. Like Cinderella, the
Yeah,
mother. I don't know why that popped in my head, but yeah, Miss Liz has just gone
yeah,
back into fairyland here. But I
it's
mean, why
okay.
not? Why can't we be fairies? I'd like to be a fairy one day. Like,
Some of if you think back, some of the happiest times in our lives are when we're not thinking too much,
yeah.
whether it's children or whatever it is. Like I said, they don't see obstacles.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
And we take so much for granted, right? Like when you see and you do these projects, you see the difference that you make on people's lives. And then you go home and you have a new revelation of all the things that you have. And you're like, hey, I can do it out that slice of bread, or I could do it out that gummy bear, or you really consider things a lot more. And
Mm.
you're like, oh, well, maybe if I collect 50 bags of gummy bears and I send them to children, you know, instead of me buying one bag of gummy bears and just enjoying it,
Yeah,
there's a difference you can make. Maybe we were going to start the gummy bear project here. I'm not sure, but
I just had a
I don't
bag.
know where gummy bears came from, but
I ate a
that's
whole
what I
bag.
mean. I really enjoy the friendship with Nelia, and I feel comfortable speaking with Nelia tonight on Tea Time, because we've actually built this friendship where we can joke around and we can play, but we're also serious change makers, and
Mm.
we love seeing change. And that's why I wanted Nelia on Tea Time, was because
Aw.
she's making an impact. So I I want to
Thank
thank you for doing that, because it's not everyone that will do what you're doing. And your son, incredible, incredible young man. Like, thank you for doing that. Like,
But see, that's the thing. Thank you for saying all those kind of things. But that's the thing. It's something anybody can do. It's not
yep,
difficult. You just have to make the decision and follow through. And that's why what I help people do, right? It's, how do we say this? So, for example, I invited someone to come with me to the next ukulele project. And although they wanted to go, they were like, well, I know I'm going to be really sad. So I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can go to a third world country and see the poverty and see. I think it's going to really be sad. And I said, you know what? It's going to be the opposite. I
it
said, yes,
is.
you'll see things that will surprise you. Yes, there are things that you will see that will shock you, that will make you sad, but you will not leave there sad. You'll leave there grateful. You'll leave there with a new found energy for life. See how the families there get along and how they live without internet and how close they are and so many things. And then when I came back, people were like, oh, how was your holiday? And I was like, oh, it wasn't really a holiday, but it was great. And then you have dinners with people and they want to know. And so then you're sharing the story and they tell other people and they tell other people. And that's the important part of it as well, is to share these stories so that people know it doesn't take a lot. Like one of the things I say is I know a lot of people who like to take vacations on resorts, right? Which is great.
Yep.
I mean, that's your thing. It's perfect. Whatever, however you want to. I'm not going to tell you how to vacation. Um, and but maybe, just maybe, next time you go, take a day or two off the resort with something in mind of how you can help the place that you're at. And I bet you when you come back, when you tell people how your holiday was, that's the part you're going to really talk about, because it is going to impact you a lot. And I don't know, it's just, there's more to us that is the same than is different, no matter what color we are, no matter our, whether we're in poverty or not, whether we live in a swamp or we live in a high rise building, we're all really the same at the end of the day. And I think we forget that.
Yep.
And it really upset me, Elizabeth, because, or Liz, it really
You can
upset
call
me.
me anything you want except for late for supper. Because we do that. We do have late suppers when we get together.
When we came back from Guatemala, the planes had just shut down 3 days later. We almost got stuck. And people were complaining here in Canada and the States and Australia and England and all these rich places how they were stuck with their families at home. They couldn't go to work. They couldn't, and their families were going to drive them crazy. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. I just came from a place where kids have dengue fever. They're dying of of starvation, sorry. Parents don't make more than two US dollars a week and can't feed their family. They're boiling
Wow.
weeds outside to make soup to feed 6 kids. And I'm like, really? You're complaining because there's a shutdown right now? People on the other side of the world are suffering, and all you're doing is having to be inside your beautiful home sharing with your family. And it really upset me for several months going into COVID. And it just lit a fire under me to maybe share the story even more. It's not, one of the ladies that I met in Guatemala, she said to me, don't feel guilty that you live in Canada. This is our life. You have your life. Don't feel, just because you were born somewhere else and you have more than me, we don't want you to feel guilty. We don't want you to bring money. We want you to come and bring skills. Teach us how to do things easier without breaking our backs, and how to make better, food gardens, vegetable gardens, how to do things easier. And teach us how to start our own business. Teach us how to use a computer. Teach us how to speak English. That's what you can do. That's what's going to make change. So I just want people to know you don't need to have a lot of money to give. Even
Exactly.
just giving a conversation to somebody who's lonely can change their life. You don't have to plan. You don't have a year to plan. You don't have to quit your job and go on this hike around the world or trip around the world to help people. There's so many things you can do that are free.
Mm-hmm.
and
A lot of people don't realize, right, Nelia? And that's what we talked about lots of times when we talk together, right? Is a lot of people are like, well, I can't do it
mm,
because I have no money. Oh, I can't do that because I have no education. Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, you can. If you make a choice, you can, and you can make a difference, you know? And that's what Nelia is doing with her podcast and with the Ukulele Project, and even with your book. I see your beautiful book in the back, and you see her book on her posters for Tea Time. So, Nelia, could you share a little bit on the book and all the programs and all that good stuff that you have? Because we're just flying through time right now. Like, it is going to
yes.
be like over, and we're going to still be talking in the
Sorry,
background here.
I just
But
talk.
no,
Sorry about that.
I like that I like that you brought that up, Nelia, because we need people to understand that you don't need money to make a difference in someone's life.
No,
All you need is a
just
heart.
time. And time, give them your time.
Yep.
Like, I would just the last thing I want to say about this as part of the show is that, for example, sometimes we think, oh, but it's not going to help anybody. Like, it's so small and insignificant. But I bet you, if you're the person receiving it, nothing is too small.
Yep.
They're in such dire need that anything is huge for them, and sometimes it's more just not ignoring them. Don't be indifferent to people. Don't pretend that they're invisible. Even if it's just a conversation, can really bring up somebody's day. So thank you for mentioning my book. Last year, on what would have been my father's 79th birthday, I released my first book. It's called Giving My Heart Room to Breathe. And it is my journey through grief, through how I healed, and through how giving was a big part of that. So it talks about my father's journey. It talks about my relationship with my father, and how I was able to forgive myself, forgive him, and really manage my anxiety and depression through the Ukulele Project. So that's what the book is about. I also created a really fun, it's called The Ultimate I Deserve a Break coloring book. And that's on Amazon. Like, if you just search my name on Amazon, both books will come up. But it's so I've got like different coloring pages in there. For example, I've got one on the Ukulele Project. I've got one on Giving Starts With You, and they just have little because for me, when I'm trying to be mindful and I just kind of want to have some time to myself, I enjoy coloring. And so that's something, sometimes it's hard. People don't do self-care very much. So I say in the book, all you need is 15 minutes a day, color a little bit of your page, and it'll start you on your self-care journey, right? Because that's the podcast is all about, how you can help yourself so that you can help other people. So
Yep.
that's why I created the coloring book. Yeah, it's
And I
fun.
love it. It's so simple, right? Giving starts with you. Like, it starts from the heart, right? It starts from within, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why we really connected. And it was so funny, like how we met on Alignable, and you canceled a meeting with Annette, and then you met Annette, and Annette was on Tea Time. It's such a small world. We don't understand how small of a world we really are living in, and what difference and impact we truly make with people and their lives, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's a good time to ask Nelia, what is her tea? So if I ask you what your tea is, what words would you give me?
Okay. Depending on the day, I could give you different words. And
Well,
I'm going
that's
to call
okay because you have different
other words.
teas.
Yeah. So I would say together, because I do want to end loneliness, and we can't do anything unless we do it together. Elevate, that's my word for the year. So I want to elevate everything that I do to a place of purpose and meaning. So I don't want to just exist. I want to push myself to be a better person every day. And this one, I had a couple in mind, but I
Oh,
decided on accept. So I
oh,
think we have to, sometimes we accept other people easier than we accept ourselves. And I think we need to do both. And acceptance is hard, especially when you grow up and people say, oh, you're dumb, you're stupid, you haven't gone to university, you're not going to amount to anything. And you just need to accept that that's their opinion, and accept yourself and love yourself. And I think today those are the words. I was going to say arrive, because I really feel, I turned 50 this year, and I finally feel that I arrived into my own person. And so I kind of had a tie between those two. I'm not gonna
I,
lie.
I actually love your tea because it actually explains to me who you really are. Like, it is
Oh,
your tea because we've talked about this, me and you, over tea and other conversations offline because we have truly made a friendship connecting, right? And accept, me and you, we have trouble with accepting at times when we get into that lonely, dark spot, right?
yeah.
The acceptance of ourselves. And we talked about this quite often, Um, and I'm just going to pop up a few comments that are here. Cynthia, thank you so much for tuning in to Tea Time. I really appreciate you tuning in, and that. And I'll connect you and Cynthia together, Nelia, because
Yeah,
Cynthia,
Cynthia.
bless her soul, she's a beautiful woman. So
Oh, um, it's hard. Losing a parent is hard. For me, I think part of the reason, just to, because I know Cynthia's here, you know, a big, you know, when my father passed away, yes, I miss him every day. And the fact that he's not here and he didn't get to see any of his grandchildren be born. But to me, it was the deterioration of his life before he died. So that's what created the PTSD for me. I kept having nightmares and seeing the deterioration of the disease and how I felt he didn't deserve to suffer. And I was angry. And I remember seeing him when he was at 90 pounds, looking in the mirror, crying because he couldn't recognize himself. And it was the first time he had looked at himself since he got sick. And it still breaks my heart to this day. And I talk about that a lot in the book, and it is hard. It is one of the hardest things I have ever had to go through. And if it weren't for my son and giving to other people, I don't know where I would be right now. It's just an honest story, you know? And it's tough. It's very tough.
but I think that has part to do with the accepting as well, right? Because grief
Yeah.
is hard. And it's not something any gets over. Anyone can say, "Oh, well, you'll get over your grief." Grief is a new way of learning to live a new life because that person is no longer with us, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah. We
we
talk
have
about that.
to. We
Yeah.
go ahead, Nelia.
No, it's I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just that's one of the things we talk about too is like you still have a relationship with that person, you know? It's just your relationship changes.
Yeah,
And you know, we I talk a lot about with I hate saying the word clients, but I talk a lot about with the people that I'm helping um about leaving a legacy, you know, and nobody wants to think about, when we die. Um but it's true. How, what kind of person do we want to be? What do we want to leave at the end of our lives? And it's
yeah,
nothing that people like to talk about, but it's incredible when you think of how giving can really bring the best parts of you out,
yeah.
and it's just and it helps you share your feelings. It helps you learn about humanity. It helps you for me, it helped me let my feelings out, where for 12 years is a long time. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't fun. And it's not to say that I don't have those moments now, but 12 years of pretending, I was somebody else, and not being able to share my feelings, it was killing me every day. It changed who I was. I'm never the same person again.
Yeah.
So when I say that I know it's going to help people and I want to show people how to do that, like I know it works. I know that it works. And there's a place for medication. Like I said, I'm taking medication. There's a place for speaking to each other. There's a place for um, forgiveness. There's a place for so many things. But giving to other people and really finding meaning in your life will help with that legacy too, right? It helps me heal every day from my father's death. Yeah. Accept.
I don't know if it's the same for you, if it's the same for you, Nelia. But when my father passed, I found that I was angry a lot. I was confused in that, but it also gave me the strength to open new doors and new ideals and things that I would have been scared of when he was in the present. Now that
Yes.
he's gone, I feel comfortable doing these things because I'm not going to get judged by him, or I'm not going to be, like, don't do that. You're wasting your time. I got a lot of that from my father. So I don't know if it was like that with your father, but it
Mhm.
also gave you a purpose to write a book, to do the ukulele projects, to open those doors, that might have never ever opened.
Yes, I tell you, the day that I was there when my father died, he died at home, and I'd never seen anybody pass away before. And I looked at my mom. I was 32 years old, and I looked at my mom, and I'm like, "Is that it?" Like, I didn't know what to expect. And she's like, "Yes, he's gone." And I was like, "Okay." And in that moment, the first thought that came to me was, I got to change the way I live my life. That's the first thing I thought of. I had been planning for this day for a long time because we knew it was coming. He was very sick. But that's the first thing I thought of, is like, I have to change the way I live. I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. And that's a promise I made to myself. And I have every intention of creating change for myself and not being stuck in the petty arguments with people, and not being in toxic relationships, and starting to put up boundaries and priorities and taking care of myself better because I mean something. Um, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. The intention was there, but I became so stuck on helping everybody around me through this situation that I ignored myself for so long. But as soon as my son opened those doors, I was like, yeah, I made that promise and let's go.
Yeah.
And I tell you, in the last 3 or 4 years, my life has changed so much. I have never been happier. My family has never been happier. Um, and not that fake happy, that let's post on Facebook. Like, I'm not that person.
Yeah,
And
me
it's just,
neither. I'm that roller coaster. People read my stuff and they're like, "Oh, Miss Liz is up, down, and now she's down, and
but I
she's up."
don't, I know, right? It's like, I don't hate myself anymore. I
Yeah,
don't, people tell me things about me that maybe they don't like. I'm okay with it. I don't
yeah,
judge myself like I used to. I take care of myself. These are things, we have to be kind to ourselves. We have to, and it takes difficult situations and things that almost break us to have us see that. So yes, I wouldn't have wanted to go through that, but it's those things that make me who I am now,
yeah.
you know. And you know
Well,
that. You've been
just in the
so
few weeks that we've known each other, like building this tea time and that, because you reached out a couple months ago, and then you got to meet Annette, who was on Tea Time, and you guys have done a couple shows together on the Mental Health Warriors. So if anybody who is suffering from mental health, please check out the Mental Health Warriors. They have a platform there where they have incredible shows and that. But I mean, like, it's amazing how small the world is and how much you have grown. I've seen since the time we talked for like 5 hours to like, I mean, you have changed in those weeks, just in those couple
yeah,
of weeks, Nelia. You have changed. You have gotten lighter. You have really transformed, and I can see the transformation bit by bit by bit. And I love watching transformation with people. Like, I love seeing them where they're really like, they don't believe, and then all of a sudden they're like flourishing, like the roses are just blooming open, right? So I watch. I'm a watcher. I've been watching you, and
and it
like,
doesn't.
I've
Thank
been
you.
seeing like
And it doesn't mean that every day is roses, and I don't want it to be,
yeah,
but not every day is bad either. You know,
yeah,
the bad times, they go away, but so do the good. That's life.
yeah.
Let's just better equip ourselves with who we want to be, and what really matters to us.
Well, I think
It's
when
it's
we're authentically ourselves and we're not wearing those masks of the
mm,
society and what people tell us to look like and how to speak and how to look, we actually shine in a different way. We actually believe in ourselves and we push ourselves even harder and harder and harder, because you are a girl that works a lot. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like,
I love what I'm
80
doing.
hours a week. Like, I'm like, okay, I got to push myself a little harder. Like, oh, and then I'm like,
No,
hey,
no,
there's
no.
no competition here. Like,
It's fun.
but I mean, like, we both are hard workers and we both
Mm.
need to slow down sometimes. And
Yeah,
sometimes
and I do
because
that too.
heart is so giving, we're just like, no, we got to give, we got to give, we got
Yes.
to give. But if we keep give, we burn
Burnout.
ourselves out.
Yes, and that's
So,
not good either. So I do that. I make sure that I do that. But I used to be type of person that I would go to work, and then as soon as I got home, I'm like, I'm done. Put on my pajamas. I don't even want to cook. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do anything. So I never was a person that had a lot of energy
Yeah.
until I started doing what I love to do. And I don't know, it's something about the connection with other people, and I don't know how to explain it to you. It doesn't make me tired. I just feel so good. It's like my life means so much more than just going to work, and I still have a full-time job too, and I run my business full-time. I do both full-time. But I know when to take breaks, and I love connecting with people, and I don't know. Um yeah.
So helping others navigate what we have been through, it is a blessing on the other
Oh,
side. It truly is, because that's what we do, right? We take our pain and we help another person. And sometimes just listening, just having a cup of tea and tuning in, like Cynthia's doing, makes the difference, because maybe this is what we need. We just need that connection. We need to, have a good conversation. And
yeah, I
that's
agree.
what we don't have enough conversations anymore. We're so much in
Real
a rush.
one.
Oh no, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. But let's have a cup of tea. Let's chill.
Like real conversations, not like
Right?
how's the weather. Like I can't do that. I
Yeah, me
can't.
neither.
I'm
I
so
can't do the
sucked
small
to
talk.
talk. I'm like, okay,
I'm
let's
just like,
talk.
okay, I'm tuned out. Like, I deep
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, I agree. And it's tough. Cynthia, if you do check out my show, you'll notice the people that I interview too, they always say, yeah, they always say how, I respect them so much that we went through something and now they're teaching that something. And it's true, helping other people and having them, I don't know, it's like when you've gone through something and then you see the other side, all you want to do is share how you did it with people because you don't
Yeah,
want people to suffer. What life
yeah,
is not about suffering. Let's help each other up and stop putting each other down. Have some tea. Yes,
exactly. Have some
have some
tea.
tea,
That's
have
right.
some
Everybody have some tea. Grab your teas and let's have some tea. Come and
yeah,
sit,
don't
Miss Liz,
sit
and
at
have
home.
some tea.
Don't sit at home being lonely. Get a bunch of
Miss Liz is
lonely
going to
people
have to
together
start a
and
support group where we just come and have some tea. We don't even have to do a podcast. We just need to have some tea together. We'll do a support of Miss Liz grabbing girls and guys and have some tea and just have a conversation. Big old round table of tea time, right? So we
yeah.
do have a question here, Nelia, but I do want to get into all of the programs and stuff. Like time is flying right by, like,
No,
but
no
I want to
problem.
get into the stuff. But we do have a question here. Um, from someone from Twitch, and they want to know, what are your favorite healing crystals?
It's interesting that you ask this of me because I actually don't use healing crystals. I never have. I'm just starting to learn about them. Um, so I'm sorry to disappoint you with your answer, but it's not something I really know a lot about.
And I love that since you put crumpets, we need crumpets. If no one knows what crumpets is, you need to get crumpets, because I have crumpets with my tea all the time. Oh my goodness, with a little bit of honey. Oh, here we go.
I feel bad I couldn't answer that question any better, but just being real, like I really don't know too much about it.
Yeah, I have crystals. I don't understand the healing, and I don't like to play with crystals because there are energies with crystals. So I try not to play with anything that I don't know of. But yeah, that question came in
I'm open. I'm open
from
to
a
learning
viewer
more.
from Twitch. So
Hmm,
thank you for tuning into
cool.
Tea Time. I appreciate that. But I want to get into, because we have less than 8 minutes left before we close up. So I want to
No
get
problem.
into your. You do have the workshops. You have the book. You have a free email challenge that I want to get into before we wrap up.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about, sales and things like that because this is more just a conversation. But just really quick, if anybody wants to go on my email, it's my name, neliahutt.com. You can sign up to get emails and be updated. Now, right now, for the next week, I believe I'm still offering a 5-day free email challenge. Basically, you sign up for the email and it takes you through a mini course, just how to find out what you're passionate about and start with that. Um, I'm going to be releasing next week through my email as well. It's a blueprint. It's called Live Your Best Life, and basically, it's a free tool. Basically, it's just an inventory of we look at mental health, relationships, giving to yourself, giving to other people, and it's just an inventory that you can fill in. It's sort of like a checklist, and it shows you where you are right now and maybe what types of things in your life you want differently, whether it's your relationships or just how you feel about yourself. So I would love for people to go through that. Yeah, so I'm actually starting a workshop. It's called How to Rewrite Your Life Story. So we talk about why you think about yourself. So we go through like childhood influences and how did you get the opinion of yourself and what you want your story really to look like. So we just change all those things that you don't like about your life and we rewrite it. And then we do our best to act on what you wrote for the next chapter of your life. So I'm excited about that. But I'd love for anybody to just have a conversation with me. I love meeting new people. You guys can email me at hello@neliahutt.com and just say hi.
I
Say
love it.
hi. And if you're interested in starting your own project, come talk to me. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing I love more than helping people create their own passion projects around the world. And I do them globally, but we can do them in your backyard. So
So,
yeah, just
before we wrap, Nelia, the ukulele project, do you need any volunteers or supplies or anything like that?
oh my goodness, we need donations of ukuleles. So on my website, I have a projects page, and it'll have a donation page for ukuleles, as well as the homeless drive that my son runs. If anybody wanted to send an instrument, they could do that, or um, you know, even $10 helps, so much. So if anybody wanted to donate to that, that'd be fantastic. But yeah. And if anybody wants to join, I mean, we're going in March, 10 days, Guatemala. You have to pay your own way and bring two ukuleles with you, but we'll be hanging out together, a group of us, and you'll get to experience what it is that I'm talking about and bring your own gifts to the project as well.
Oh, I really like that you put that out there.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I can take a trip. I
Oh,
just got to get
yeah.
me two ukuleles. Like,
Yeah. My stipulation is that you bring two ukuleles with you.
I like that. I like that. You know,
Yeah.
and I love that you bring music to children because that's what we truly need. So amazing, amazing work that you're doing, girl. And I mean, like, we could talk for hours. Like, me and Nelia have really connected. Like, we're like the high school girlies. I get into the little
Well,
chilling room,
I love
right?
what you're doing. I think you're helping so many people, and it's giving people a safe place to talk. It's not always easy to talk about things that we go through. It's not easy to talk about having mental illness. It's not easy to talk about how crappy we feel about ourselves. And sometimes just hearing other people's stories give us that courage to love each other, love ourselves just a little bit more. You know, even that little bit makes such a difference when you really have these terrible feelings about ourselves. And it's hard, it takes work to change it, but I think places like this show it makes people feel safe and people can come on and be honest. And we all need that. It's hard to find that sometimes in a crazy world. So just keep supporting each other. Thanks, Liz,
Exactly.
for everything that you're
Support for
doing.
support. That's what we do, right? We support one another. And I really want to thank you, Nelia, for joining me today on Tea Time and sharing your tea. Together elevates, accept. That is your tea. Like, girl, like, that was no brainer. Come on. Together, we're together all the time.
Together is
Elevate,
important.
right? And
Together,
we
you can't do.
elevate.
Yes, you have to
Yeah.
decide that you want to change your life, but you can't do it alone. You need to
Right.
have a community of people around you for sure.
And there you go. And serve your tea. Together, elevate and accept. That's your message for today, girl. Like, you go share that tea, and you be proud of that tea because that tea is awesome. And thank you so much, Cynthia, for tuning in, and thank you so much to the user on Twitch and all the viewers that are watching on all the other platforms out there. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining in and sharing your teas and your comments and support because I truly appreciate it. And Nelly appreciates it as well. You can reach out to Nelia at her website. And if you need any other information, it will all be in the description once it's uploaded to all the audio platforms, because that's where it goes. Within 2 hours, you will hear Nelia all over on multiple platforms, because that's what Miss Liz does. Is within 2 hours of these live tea times, all the guests are placed all over. So I want to see each and every one of you next week when I have 2 tea times in one day. That's right. I'm going to try it again. Last month it didn't turn out. The actual one guest was like, "Can I reschedule?" I was like, "Yes, that's even better." But we're going to try it again. And we start off at 10 a.m. with a morning tea time with Jennifer Wookman in the United States. And then we're moving up to, we have Stephen Boy, who's going to be sharing his personal story. His story is really emotional, so there will be trigger warnings for Stephen's story, but it's overcoming life and challenges and that. So we have some really powerful things. So we have empowerment for women empowerment in the morning, and then in the afternoon we have overcoming life. And then we jump on into music and storytelling the week later. And the week after that, we have sign language. So you see, there's all different kind of flavors coming to the table. So thank you, Nelia, for joining me for tea. It was truly amazing having you here. And thank you to all the viewers and supporters. We all make a difference when we support one another. So support for support. Thank you. And I'll see you August 11th at 10 a.m. for morning tea.